So we now have episode 3 of Fear the Walking Dead season 7. This episode is called Cindy Hawkins, and if you haven't seen this episode yet and you don't want to get the episode spoiled for you as well as the other episodes in season 7, do not watch this review because this review is going to contain full spoilers. You've been warned. So in this episode we are following John Dory Sr. and June. A good pairing, it's a surprising pairing by the end of season 6 when they were trapped in that bunker together. But it's also a pairing that makes sense. Even they comment on it in the episode. John even says to June, she goes, I know I'm not the John Dory you wanted to be paired up with. And she goes, no, if all the people, I'm kind of glad it is you. So it is kind of, they're mentioning it. They know that we know that that's the one the John Dory she wanted to be was John Dory Jr. Personally, I would prefer that. I actually do really like John Dory Sr. But I do prefer John Dory Jr. He was one of my favourite characters in all of Fear. Like, he's probably top 3. I think it's probably Morgan. Then it's I just really love the character John Dory Jr. So I was so disappointed when he got killed off last season. So just like John Dory Sr., I would have preferred to see him there. But they're living in the bunker that Teddy was going to be in there. So you can tell I imagine they're a bit uncomfortable because the man who's literally destroyed their world was planning on living in this bunker, so they're probably wondering what the hell is all about this bunker. But for the most part, it seems like it's just a bus. I don't know how we got the bus down there. I don't know how everything kind of got set up, but they're living in a bus. You kind of get to see their day-to-day routine where they're kind of just doing the same old shit day in, day out. They get up to like day 70, I think it was, and they're just doing the same old shit every single day, non-stop, on repeat. And then because they're in a bus underground, and it wasn't happening before, but since the world above them has literally been destroyed, the ground is starting to shake, and you're seeing like stuff falling off the walls. There's a crack in the roof where muck is falling on John Dory's face as he's sleeping. And then one night a press or a big cabinet falls over, revealing a big hole in the wall. They go in, they break the hole in the wall, and it's actually found out. They've finally found, John Dory Sr. has finally found the room where Teddy has been torturing the girls years ago. I think it was the 80s, I think. He found the room where the girls had been tortured. And it's really weird, very creepy. The atmosphere in that room is very unsettling. You feel uncomfortable as our characters are in there because you know what had been done in that room. Even June's like, let's just block up this room and never come back here again. So it was kind of, it's a really creepy room for them actually to be in, but it also kind of makes sense that this is where he done it because it's a kind of hidden compartment that they never knew about. Even John, when the missile or the nuclear bomb hit last season, John found it. He was surprised he found it. He was like, why did you come here of all places? And then he found the secret place. So even before that, they never knew that place existed. So it kind of makes sense that that's where he was kind of doing what he was doing. But we also see June is actually creating radiation suits because she read a pamphlet that said, with just the radiation, the nuclear bombs, you just have to be in there for a year. So they're counting down the days. She's making the radiation suits so they can leave. But John reveals that, I can't remember the exact number of women Teddy killed, but I think it was 25. And they found 24 bodies and they never found the 25th body. And then John said to the mother of the daughter, saying, I will find your child's body and I will give her the justice she deserves. So John quickly becomes obsessed with finding this body. He's insanely obsessed. He's doing everything he can in that kind of small compartment to try and figure out where the body is. But it's revealed later on in the episode that John is an alcoholic. And because they've been down there, he's been drinking. But he's ran out of drink. He's been down for 70 days. Can't imagine there was a big supply of alcohol down there, so now he's done. They have nothing left, so John's starting to hear things, he's starting to see things. So he hears a voice, so he puts on the radiation suit June had been making, and he goes above, and he sees something, and he starts making his way over to it, and he thinks it's the girl who he's looking for, whose body he is looking for. He thinks it's her, but it's revealed to be a walker. But while they're up there, June and John get spotted by a group of random people, and then kind of all hell breaks loose. They go down there, they lock the place down, but the people above are still trying to get in there. We actually we never find out who these people are, but they're very, very hardly trying to get in there, and they just can't get in there. But so they lock themselves up. John is pretty much losing it at this stage. The alcohol is completely losing his system, and he's just losing his mind. Cindy Hawkins is literally just terrorizing him at this point, where he's trying to sleep. He hears her voice. She comes up. She's saying, "Come find me. Leave June. Come find me." So John is heavily contemplating just leaving it. And then the people above are trying to get in. And in doing so, the roof of the place actually collapses on top of them. John is okay. He gets knocked unconscious. But the roof actually falls on June, trapping her there. And John's immediate reaction is, okay, I'm going to leave. I'm going to go find the body and I'm going to come back. June's not going to go anywhere. They're not going to get down here. So I'm going to go find the body. So John ends up leaving. But before he leaves, June actually reveals that she knows they can leave now. The whole year before they can leave was all bullshit. She just didn't want to leave because she doesn't want to face a world out there without John Dory Jr. She doesn't want to live out there without John Dory Jr. because she doesn't know what to do out there without him. She reveals like she knows what to do down there because it's the same old shit every single day. She's got a routine. She knows what has to be done. But without John Dory Jr., she doesn't know what to do up there. And especially with the way the world is up there, she doesn't know what she's meant to do up there. So she wants to stay down there because she knows what has to be done. But while she's there, John leaves in the end. He goes out. He starts to make his way out there. He starts seeing walkers of all the girls coming towards him. And then he kind of quickly kind of stops, and then he realizes what he's done. He's leaving June behind. And then he ends up having a shootout with the guys. And it felt so much like a Western. The pistols John has just really feels very much like a Western, especially because it's filmed in Texas and everything. He ends up taking out two of the guys. One of the guys ends up making his way down there in the process of trying to kill June. It gets to the point where the guy has got June, but he doesn't physically have her, but he's getting there. He's about to come down. He's about to kill her to find out what happens, and then John Dory comes in and he kills her. My biggest question is, who are these people? Why were they trying to get down there? It's not they were trying to get down there to get supplies, because they were down there and his major reaction was to kill June or capture June, whatever his plan was. But then John Dory finally convinces June that, okay, we gotta leave here. This place is not livable. We gotta go out there and find somewhere better. And as they're getting ready to leave, the ladder collapses and then the whole building collapses. So they're sitting down there covered in muck and they're stuck. And then the next scene, they wake up in some clean facility. Major reaction was, okay, they're in Strand's compound, which of course they were in Strand's compound. Strand has now invited them to be part of it. We found out in episode 1, Strand only wants the best of the best. Of course, June being a doctor and John Dory Sr. being a detective. He's like, yeah, I'll have you two. You two can be part of my compound. They're both reluctant to be there, especially John Dory, because he's like, yeah, no, we know what you've done to Morgan. We don't want to be anywhere part of what you have to do. Then Strand leaves. They see outside all the walkers like, okay, we don't have much of a choice. But Morgan had made his way there. Morgan was actually going to save them, bring them back to his community. And that was not his community, the submarine, which was actually my prediction. Going into the episode, when I saw it was going to be a John and June episode, my prediction was they were going to end up being in the submarine. Morgan was going to take them back there, and then their storyline was going to be with Morgan, and Morgan was slowly going to be building up his community inside the submarine. That's what I was predicting anyways, going forward. And we do finally get Morgan and Strand actually communicating on the walkie-talkie. Strand explains to Morgan that he's doing something that Morgan could never do. Morgan says, I'm going to let you keep doing what you're doing, as long as you're not hurting people, hurting my people, hurting our people, he says. But if I find out that you're doing something I don't like, I'm going to come in there and shut you down. And I imagine Morgan's going to find out pretty quickly that Strand is doing something he doesn't like. But really excited to see how the rest of Fear the Walking Dead plays out. This is my least favourite episode of the 3 we've got so far. That's not saying it's a bad episode. This is a great episode. Fear the Walking Dead Season 6 and Season 7 so far have been fantastic episodes, and I'm really excited to see how it all plays out. My theory though, that we're going to see everyone and then we're going to get a massive time skip isn't really working at the moment. I don't know if I'm at the end of season episode 2 I was thinking that, but now I'm not really sure if that's going to be happening, but who knows anyways. But if you want to find out if I was right in the future and hear my opinions on me being right in the future, make sure to click on the subscribe button so you can go back and hear future thoughts from me. And as always, thanks for watching.